going on?
Probably 10, 12 years old, something like that.
And you could, okay, so now a quarter would get the movie
theater, yeah.
Movie theater,
and popcorn,
and
whatever, candy, whatever.
At the theater.
At the theater. And then the drugstore soda fountain was right next door. And so we'd get out of the theater and we'd go in there and have whatever. And then we'd have enough left when older folks were ready to go home. We had enough for a double dip ice cream cone to eat on the way home.
So when you went to the soda fountain, did you get a sandwich or something? Or
no, more ice cream. Hey, we were kids.
Like a soda.
It didn't bother us to have a fudgesicle and a brownie and an ice cream cone all the same night.
So how old were you when that was?
When what?
How old were you for that? 5, 7?
No, 10 or 12 years
10 or 12.
No, when we were younger than that, they wouldn't let us go to the movie by ourselves. Oh dear. Another thing we used to do, and at this time I was probably 12, 14 years old. It was just a year or two before we left came out to Washington. At any rate, Jim Kickabush and I, we back in South Dakota, pheasant season's a big thing, and even Mother and Mitchell and Aunt Margaret out there in the farm, Margaret and Clarence, they rented rooms to business people that would come from St. Louis and Chicago and all that area for hunting. And they're on a hunting vacation.
Board them?
I don't know
room
about
and
Florida,
board,
but Midwest anyway.
No, board them.
Yeah, room and board, yeah. And they're only there for a week, for example. But then they needed guides to take them through these fields for pheasant. And so Jim and I, hey, for an extra $50 or whatever, we'll be guides. So we'd take them. Well, when we first started doing that, we were amazed. And Jim Kickabush and I, we had at that time we had 410s, shotgun.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that's the least dangerous one of the bunch. At any rate, so we'd take these guys on guides, and it wasn't any problem because it really didn't make any difference what field you went in. You were going to raise pheasant. They were going to get up. And so we'd take them through, and there might be 7 or 8 of them, and we'd spread out, and so Jim and I'd stay behind them a little bit. And then we'd get to the end of a quarter mile, and there's a road, and then these pheasant, instead of running across the road, they'd get up in there. They'd fly. They'd get up. There's lots of them. A lot of pheasant back there. And so everybody'd start shooting, and And we stood back when we first started doing that. We stood back, and these guys were terrible. They couldn't hit anything. So they were getting discouraged. So Jim and I decided one night, we talked about it, and we decided, you know what, we got to help this thing a little bit because
we want them to come back,
right? So we took them out on these guided them out to these fields, and I don't know, 3rd or 4th day we were out there, and they were only there for a week, and so we said, okay, we're going to sit behind. And so when the pheasant, we get to the quarter mile line and the pheasant get up, or half mile, whatever, then we're going to start you. And so we did. And so these guys would shoot, and they wouldn't hit anything, but we'd be right behind them, and we'd shoot the bird. And then we'd say, "Oh, great shot! You got him! You got him!" And he'd be so happy, you know. And these guys are businessmen from the Midwest, so we didn't just get a $50 for guiding. When we rooted them on, knowing that we shot some of those birds, they didn't get them. We got dollars in our hands, and we thought we were living high until the men found out about it. Not those men, but Clarence and Reinhold, and they found out about it, and they put a stop to it. You can't do that. They're cheating for them.
So what's the guide? Is it just land you can be on?
Yeah, they don't know anything about farmland. They just know
it's just big open
country.
Fields, right?
Right, and all you have to do is walk through them. And
yeah, so I guess what's the guide?
It was easy because any of the fields had them.
Yeah,
pheasant galore.
Could you just go on? I mean, they didn't care whose property it was.
Well, they just thought they needed guides, you know. And these are big. These are big men, you know, in their own eyes. And we got to have a guide, you know. We get a guide, we get the best fields. Well, every field was good, but they didn't know that. So we worked as guides for them.
That's pretty good money just for wandering around in the field. That's probably what you'd be doing anyway.
That was a lot of money in that day for young kids, you know, for a young person. $1 was a lot of money. And when you were 12, 13, 14 years old, why, you were doing well. You had that in your pocket. Because a lot of those days were back in the days of the Great Depression. It was pretty bad times, but we didn't know it.
So what were those fellas, what kind of businesses were they associated? What kind of businesses were those fellas associated with?
They were lawyers and doctors and people of that caliber, you know, that could afford to do that.
And they were still making some money.
And this was their hunting vacation. They'd get a bunch of them come together. And it's just like today when I told you Bill goes with a group every year, and they stay in Mitchell and go pheasant hunting.
Sure.
And they do that every year, and they get guides. I didn't ever say anything to him about this, but I'm sure there's some young kids there that are just happy as Lord.
Making some good money out of it.
Well, yeah, and knowing Bill and them, they probably get $20, $30 a day. We had some really interesting times in our youth. It's a wonder we survived, quite frankly.
So, Jim Kickabush was one of your good buddies then?
Oh, yeah, Jim and I, yeah.
And when did they move back here? Did they move back at about the same time that...
No, we were there a few years before Margaret and Clarence sold the farm, and then they moved back to Longview. And then they went to work for Long Bell, when Long Bell was big there.
Okay.
Long Bell Lumber. And they retired from there.
And that's
both of them.
Clarence and
Reinhold?
Clarence and Reinhold, yeah.
Was Reinhold married?
No, he never did get married. Well, there's Marie. She said, I'll leave the light on if it's okay for you to come. So that's her light right there.
Okay. I think it's okay.
Can we walk down there, girls?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can. Right, Brooke, maybe we'll take a shower. Brooke's going to take her shower while we're walking.
I don't know if that's allowed.
What's
Are you
that?
going to allow her to take a shower while we're out walking?
Well, she might. she might want to meet you. She knows about Peter and Brooke. She knows Brooke's coming, and
she wants to see that beautiful
yeah,
gal Peter
absolutely.
picked up, huh?
I've been bragging her up.
Well,
Do you mind? We can drive down there if it'd be too much, Brooke.
Oh no, that's not the walking is not the problem. I just wanted to.
Are you just too tired?
Nope, I will go with you guys. How's that sound?
sounds good.
Okay.
I think we're gonna force her into it.
Oh, okay. We don't have to stay long.
No, okay, we
We just